Let's talk about Bridgerton Season 3. First, let me fill you in on my thoughts on the first 4 episodes. So the first 4 episodes, I feel like the thing with Lord Debling, I was disappointed by that. I wanted there to be a little bit more drama with that. It also felt like it was very slow to start, and then all of a sudden he's proposing, and then the proposal's off in a matter of minutes. Does that make sense? Like, they had 3 whole episodes where like nothing happens, and then all of a sudden he's like, I want to propose to you. 5 minutes later, he's like, actually it's off because I can tell you're into Mr. Bridgerton. The timing of all that I didn't really like. The hot air balloon scene, if you're like me, you've seen so many like little parodies and people making fun of that, and I get that. Yep, it was ridiculous. It was so dumb. Could Penelope at least have like twisted her ankle or something? Like, that would have like at least made it a little bit more plausible. Like, okay, she twisted her ankle, she can't get away fast enough. Maybe. I also like that how Colin was involved in that like he honestly could have run over there, tackled Penelope like Lord Debling did. He could have done that. He had time, but he didn't. And I think that kind of plays into the conflict that he's having of like, I think I really like her, but maybe it's too late because she seems to like this new guy, and maybe I should just let her have her chance, you know? That made sense to me. I am kind of disappointed that the relationship between Lady Danbury and Penelope from the books isn't represented in the show at all. Instead, Lady Danbury is focusing on a different wallflower, and I actually really like that different wallflower. I'm sad that we don't get to see Penelope and Lady Danbury become friends, but I also really like Francesca. I relate to Francesca, and just the moment between her and the John Sterling guy, the moment where they meet and they're just like standing outside the ball because they just want to be alone for a minute, that is the most romantic thing I've ever seen. I'm not even kidding. I love that. I feel that. That is me. I feel seen. I love them. I love them a lot. Okay, speaking of couples I love, Kate and Anthony are so adorable, and I really liked seeing them in episode 1, seeing them together, seeing them again. I love it. I understand, and I'm proud of them for leaving and having some more time to themselves, because they deserve it, because they've been worrying about their siblings their whole lives, and for once they should just worry about themselves. I am here for it. I get that. Go for it, you two, but also I love them. I didn't want them to be gone for the whole first half of the show, and alas, they were. The first 4 episodes, they were like, we're getting to know Cressida better because Eloise and Cressida have become friends, making Cressida this like sympathetic character, and I wasn't feeling it in the first 4 episodes. I was a little bit hesitant to fall for that, but we'll get into my change of heart in a second when we talk about episode 5. Okay, let's talk about the carriage scene. I think we all loved it, right? We all really liked that. I really liked that it was different from the book, especially because in the book, I feel like it starts out like it's like this passionate, they're bickering, they're angry at each other, and then it just happens out of passion or whatever. But the fact that this starts out from more of a, hey, Penelope, I'm sorry that things didn't work out with Lord Debling, but I really care for you. I think I want to be more than friends. That like Colin actually voices his feelings a little bit to Penelope before things happen, and it comes from that kind of a place. I like that better than how it happened in the book, you know? Now let's talk about episode 5, which I watched this morning. Wow, okay, there's a lot to cover. When Colin and Penelope go and tell his family that they're engaged, I loved seeing all of their reactions. It made sense. It was so cute. It was so heartwarming. Very different than the Featheringtons' reactions in the book and even later in the episode. That warmed my heart to just see how excited they all were for Penelope and Colin. And then we pan over to Eloise, and she is stunned, she is shocked, she is upset, and you can tell. Oh man, I felt it. Oh, that like broke my heart. Just like I was all the way up here. I was so happy, and then instantly just, oh shit. So that's that. When Anthony gets back into town and he and Kate, surprised, they're expecting, so happy for them, really so happy for them. I love them. They get back into town, they're gonna tell everybody, and then they walk in and, you know, everybody's like, oh, Anthony, wait until you hear, like, oh my gosh, exciting news, all this stuff. And then just the brothers' reaction, Anthony, Colin, and Benedict, when they're talking about things, that little scene just had me smiling. That was sweet. Then we get the mirror scene. I had to turn off my camera because
am I supposed to be seeing this? It's very intimate.
I can handle the spice, but I don't want to be seen watching that. So it was spicy. Colin standing up to Mrs. Lady Featherington and saying, "Hey, I just heard you. Like, what the hell? You should be happy for Penelope. This is real. I really love her. Don't you talk to her that way." You're like, no, this isn't some political move. That's you. You're all about like trying to look good to everybody, but Penelope really is good. She doesn't have to try. That moment, love it. I liked seeing Francesca and John Sterling out on their little walk, and then he's like, "Ooh, I'd like to talk to your brother." And then he's like, "What do you think about marriage?" I freaked out. I would not mind if there are 2 weddings in this season. I love her. I want to see more of her, but also at the same time, I'm like, they're really cute. Just let them get married now. There's that. And then we have the whole engagement party drama. Eloise says, "Okay, Penelope, I've been waiting for you to tell my brother. You haven't yet. I can tell you haven't. You need to tell him before the end of this party, or I will." Drama and tension building between Eloise and Penelope. That whole thing, love it. In the end, neither Penelope nor Eloise tell what's-his-face that Penelope's Lady Whistledown. Instead, Cressida gets to the announcement before they do, and she announces to everybody that she's Lady Whistledown. Yeah, that's episode 5. I'm liking it. Right now, I feel more invested in Francesca and John Sterling and Kate and Anthony than I am in Colin and Penelope, but I am really excited to see the drama unfold of Colin finding out that Pen is Lady Whistledown. I'm going to continue watching while I do some chores, and then yeah, I'll fill you in on the rest of the season after. Let's finish talking about Bridgerton Season 3, shall we? Here are my overall thoughts. I may give a few spoilers as I'm talking about things. This is not a plot overview, so I'm not going to go scene by scene, episode by episode, covering everything that happens. This is more just like what I think about things, and yeah. So let's talk about it. Number 1, I am so happy that Eloise and Penelope are friends again. Things were tense when we last talked. In episode 5, things were still very tense between them because Colin still didn't know that Penelope was Lady Whistledown. But then after Colin finds out, things start to get better between them. Things start to heal. I like that. I like how Eloise's story ends up, and by the end of this, that she's going off to stay with Francesca in Scotland because she needs to like find herself and learn more about the world and see how she can change the world, right? That feels very Eloise to me, and I feel like that's fitting for her moving forward, and so I'm excited by that. Speaking of Francesca, she did end up getting married to John Sterling, which I'm happy about. I think they're really cute. They get engaged, and then they feel like they need to get the Queen's blessing since Francesca is like the Queen's diamond of the season, right? And so they're worried about doing that, but what ends up happening is the Queen comes to she's looking for Lady Whistledown at Colin and Penelope's wedding and says, "Everybody leave except the Bridgertons. I need to talk to the Bridgertons and them alone." She knows. And she says, "I know one of you is hiding something from me." Francesca thinks that means her, and so Francesca gets up and is like, "I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. Here's the deal. I'm in love with Lord Kilmartin, John Sterling, whatever his name is. I'm in love with him, and I've been secretly engaged to him for a couple of weeks now, but I really want your blessing." And the Queen was like, "Good for you. I don't care. This is about Lady Whistledown." That took courage, and for Francesca, who is this like very quiet character, to get up in front of the Queen in a moment like that where she's kind of put on the spot, I was proud of her. She's not talking about you, girl, but I'm proud of you. Good job for speaking up for yourself. I love you. I love her for that. When Colin finds out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, he's upset. It happens very similarly to how it does in the book, where she runs out to publish one last column, and then he follows her because he's concerned about her and finds out that way. So he's upset. So the week before their wedding, things are kind of tense. Then the night before their wedding, he is talking to Kate and Anthony and has a nice moment with them. And it looks like things might turn up, might be looking a little bit better between him and Penelope right before their wedding. But then, this situation with the Queen goes down, and then things are tense again. This was something that kind of bothered me in the book as well, but I think it takes Colin a little too long to realize that he's just jealous of Penelope. And I'm like, dude, You're jealous. Just get over it. Your wife could help you. She wants to help you. She wants to connect you with publishers. She wants to get your work published, just like her work has been published. Like, give her a chance to help you. That's okay. Yeah, that's my one thing there. Another thing about this season overall, I feel like it was not so much about the romance as like the first two seasons were. This really was all about Penelope. It felt very centered around her rather than the romance. Like, obviously there was romance. She does get married to Colin. They do make up. They are very much in love by the end of the season and happily married by the end of everything. But yeah, I think just the focus on Penelope, it was her story. Her coming out as Lady Whistledown, people finding out, her rebuilding her relationship with Eloise, her, you know, falling in love with Colin, like all of that. It was all about Penelope. Those are my thoughts. Those are my observations. I kind of wish there were, like, here's the thing. It's hard because, like, part of me is like, it's Bridgerton. I want there to be romance, right? I want it to be romantic, but at the same time, I'm like, this made sense. Like, with Penelope being Lady Whistledown, it made sense, like, this whole season to be revolving around her rather than, like, revolving around Colin. I feel conflicted. I'm gonna be honest. I feel conflicted. There is a moment that I want to acknowledge because I know I talked about this earlier. There's a moment after Penelope announces that she's Lady Whistledown in the last episode where Lady Danbury comes up to her and is like, I knew it. And so, like, they kind of have a moment where they're talking about it. It was a nice moment. I think it was kind of a nod to their interactions in the book, and I appreciated that. Like I said, I was talking about that earlier. I was disappointed that they didn't include that in the show, but they kind of did in the end. I like that Penelope is the one to kind of take charge when Cressida blackmails her, because that does happen in the show just like in the book. She's with her mom when it happens, and they go to Colin, and so then it's kind of like her mom and Colin trying to protect Penelope and figure out what's going on, and that doesn't work. And then Penelope's like, you know what, I got this, I'll figure it out, it's my problem, I got this. You go, girl. And then she sends a letter to the queen. She explains things to the queen and gets the queen involved. They have this little trial at this ball where the queen is like, nobody expected her to come. She barges in and it's like, okay, I know who Lady Whistledown is, I'm gonna announce it to you all, and she's gonna come up here and defend herself, and then I will tell you all if I, like, approve of her or something. You got this, Penelope. And so Penelope comes up, she gives a little speech about, like, why she did it, why she continued to do it, and yeah, she, like, gives her a piece, and she says, this was my voice, and nobody saw me except for as Lady Whistledown, so it was hard to say no. And then the queen is like, okay, I look forward to your next column. I really like your gossip, so don't stop. That's that. The queen approves. She's okay with it. Because the queen approves, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Everybody else is okay with it. They might hold a grudge against Penelope, but they can't do anything to her, because if the queen's okay with it, everybody else should be too. So that's kind of how it all ends. Spoilers. It was no season 2. Kate and Anthony are my favorite. I think it's hard to compare with them, especially, like I said, it didn't feel like there was so much focus on the romance or the love story this time. It really was about Penelope, so it was different, and I think just because of that, it's hard to compare it to the previous seasons, because those really were about the love story, right? So it's kind of hard to compare it. A few more things that I liked that I forgot to mention. Benedict and Eloise, I will always love them as siblings and their relationship. I'm really looking forward to Benedict's story in the next season. And Violet and Lady Danbury as friends are so cute, and always, I love Lady Danbury and the Queen's relationship. Those are all of my thoughts. I thoroughly enjoyed watching season 3 of Bridgerton, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to my thoughts and my feelings about season 3. Comment down below if you've watched season 3 and tell me what you thought. What was your favorite part? What was something you didn't like? Tell me whatever you want about season 3. Comment below. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble about Bridgerton. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.